not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send the blood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come, and I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kenneth Adams, president of LaGuardia Community College. Welcome to the LaGuardia and Wagner Archives calendar launch event. For this year's calendar, our 2022 Grit and Glamour LGBTQ plus films set in New York. This year, our calendar features 13 months of films set in New York with LGBTQ plus themes. And this is part of our ongoing commitment at the LaGuardia and Wagner Archives to do all we can here at LaGuardia and throughout CUNY to advance our mission of having a really inclusive environment and making sure we're diverse and inclusive in every way. And in this case, we've had a lot of involvement from LaGuardia faculty and students in the movie industry and in the making of this year's calendar. And I want to salute in particular Jason Schaefer, Tom Seymour, David Stott, and Joyce Rubin, who of course run our film program here at LaGuardia, our degree program. And also we've got a host of important elected officials who always provide support to the archives. They have over the years. And again, they've been really helpful in providing support so we can produce this year's calendar. And this includes the former Speaker of the New York City Council, Corey Johnson, and the council member, Danny Drum, longtime friend of the archives and supporter of LaGuardia for many years. Our team here at LaGuardia that helped produce the calendar includes professors James Wilson, Ariana Martinez, Lena Weisman, Jason Schaefer, Richard Lieberman, of course, the longtime director of the LaGuardia and Wagner Archives, without whom none of this would be possible, and the managing director of the LaGuardia Performing Arts Center, Stephen Hitt, along with archive staff, Soraya Ciego Limur, Stephen Weinstein, Stephen Petrus, Molly Rosner, and Raleigh Owens. I also want to tip my hat and say a special thanks to the new Speaker of the New York City Council for her support, Council Member and Speaker Adrienne Adams, and our newly elected, right here in Long Island City, our newly elected representative on the New York City Council, Council Member Julie Wan. Thank you all for joining us. I hope you enjoy the calendar as much as I do, and make sure you hand out copies of it when you get it to all your friends and family. Thanks.
We are interrupting this program to bring you a special message from the Women's Army.
Which would you rather see come through the door? One lion, unified, or 500 mice? All oppressed people have a right to violence.
The working class about its name of America's mystery.
Why is it called Woman's Army?
A manifesto strong in a sentimental room, talking about a declaration in an undercover nation. She's got a black jacket, no wings of a dove. She's got an iron fist and a velvet glove. Just got addicted 'cause the red ones do. Wake up, could this be you? Could this be you? All right.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Stephen Hitt, the Artistic Director of LaGuardia Performing Arts Center.
And I'm Ariana Martinez, Professor of Urban Studies at LaGuardia Community College.
So this year's calendar features films made by artists from the LGBTQ plus community in our amazing city of New York.
The title of the calendar is Grit and Glamour, LGBTQ plus films set in New York.
So you're going to hear from several of the artists who created films that are featured in this calendar. You're going to hear from some of the elected officials who've supported us over the last several years to make this happen, as well as Dr. Richard Lieberman, who in celebrating our 50th anniversary of LaGuardia Community College, will talk to us about how the archives came into being.
I'm Professor Richard Lieberman, and I am Professor of History at LaGuardia and have loved teaching and being in the classroom for 50 years at LaGuardia. I'm also the director of the LaGuardia and Wagner Archives and have enjoyed collecting and indexing the history of the people of the city of New York, and particularly the outer boroughs, meaning Queens. My life's work has been dedicated to bringing in a major part of history that has been ignored, which is the people's history of New York, and letting my students know and letting the people of New York know that they are very much a part of the city's history and the nation's history. It was so exciting because everybody was young and everybody was eager and everybody was just looking forward to creating their professional life in this environment where it seemed like the only rule was try everything. I have to say it was love at first sight. You know, I walked in, I said, wow, this is amazing. And after a few years of it, I was burned out. I mean, I had taught so many courses. We were on the quarter system. And I was just thrilled by the environment and exhausted. I mean, I think it's still true today. LaGuardia is probably the busiest place I've ever been. So I was going to leave because I couldn't take it. And I just happened to sit down next to Janet Lieberman, told her I was leaving. And she said, "Come, why don't you come by my office before you leave?" She was, I think, associate dean of faculty at the time. And we started to create projects that got me out of the classroom and a lot less teaching and a lot more community work and a lot more community programs and stuff that I had enjoyed when I was in graduate school. So what happened to me was I was able to bring together my commitment to community and my love of teaching and not be overwhelmed by the demands of teaching. And LaGuardia, as I said, it's a fabulous energy machine.
How come we never met before now?
We did meet. I was 8, you were 9. The Wong boys were taunting me. You beat the heck out of them.
Will has a surprise for her mother.
You talked to your mother about us? Does she know we have sex?
No, Will, she thinks we conjugate Latin verbs.
Her mother
什么时候开始喝啤酒啊？
is not listening.
Seriously, well, why don't you just tell her?
She knows.
She kept setting you up with guys.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because she has a surprise
Huh? What are you doing here?
of her own.
Baby. Who's the father? She won't say.
Like to meet her.
You don't know my mom.
Exactly.
你有没有男朋友啊？
Do you know what kind of karmic hell I'd have to pay as a Chinese daughter who didn't take in her own mom? So marry her off.
What about Mr. Park over at Smiley's Deli?
My landlord's a Chinese guy. He's not very chatty, but he's rich.
Book him, Dano.
Now mother and daughter
你什么时候回来？
will face their fears
Kiss me. Right here in front of all these people.
and find a way to find each other.
爱的是他。
Joan Chen,
真不能相信你是我肚子里出来的。
Michelle Kruzik,
妈，怎么了
You're beautiful.
Saving Face.
你不会也怀孕了吧？
我？没有，没有。
Hi, my name is Yoruba Richin. I am a documentary filmmaker based in Brooklyn, New York. And I'm also the founding director of the documentary program at the Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at CUNY. The New Black came out in 2014 at this point, so about 6 years ago. It looks at how the African-American community, kind of, generally speaking, was grappling with the marriage equality issue. And this was in light of the marriage equality movement, which, as we all know, really took off, in the 2008, 2009, 2010, with Obama's election, President Obama's election. So I documented the sort of progression of the movement, the marriage equality movement, and then focused in on the state of Maryland, which in 2010 was the first state after California banned marriage equality with Proposition 8. It was the first state to pass, or one of the first states where the legislature passed marriage equality in 2010. And then there was an initiative like Proposition 8 to put it on the ballot and for people to vote on marriage equality. And so the African-American community, which is about 30% of Maryland's electorate, was really, both sides are really vying for the African-American vote. So I looked at how activists on both sides of the issue were we're grappling with we're grappling with marriage equality and looking at how and followed the vote and the referendum, and looking at how both sides were vying for the Black vote. So I followed the referendum, and then up until the election that November in 2012, when they actually passed marriage equality. So the New Black follows that movement and follows activists on both sides of the issue.
That's what's up, man. It's a righteous man over here.
Okay, are you registered to vote? Okay.
How old are you?
21.
21?
All right.
You gotta get registered to vote. We gotta get you registered to vote.
I ain't voting on my gay shit, though. Why? Okay, why? What's up?
Don't
even affect you. Right, Joe.
Oh, that's not cool.
What made you be gay?
All right, that's what's up. That's
Right,
what's up.
so what made you be straight? What made you be
Same thing that
straight?
made you be straight.
Right.
That black came off of this same
bike.
thing.
You can't answer that question, but
I used to not have the same rights as you, but I know that because a black man like yourself stood up for a woman like me, I know that I got the same opportunities. So you as a black man have the opportunity to stand up for somebody else. Whether you're gay or not, these are your brothers and sisters out here, and they need you to represent.
Who is you to tell somebody who they can't have sex with, who they can't be with? They ain't got that power.
Right.
Nobody has that power to say you can't marry that young lady. Who has that power? Nobody.
But you know what? Our state has put the power in your hands, and so what we need you to do is vote for. You gonna vote for 6.
I got you.
Okay? Vote for 6.
And all right, do y'all need community service hours? You do? All right, y'all can always volunteer with us and get community service hours. Y'all want to do that? We feed you, we bring you pizza.
But the kind of work that I do really looks at social issues that are that we're grappling with today, and from an intersectional space as an African-American woman, as a part of the LGBTQ community, as a lesbian. That's really the lens that I have. Even if I'm not specifically doing a film that directly deals with those issues, that's my lens in understanding understanding those issues and telling stories about them. So I'm thrilled to be named a trailblazer. I hope to continue blazing trails. There's so much work to be done and so many stories that are untold. I'm very thankful for the honor.
What do we got here? 95, 2 years grand larceny, 1 a year on arms possession, resisting arrest. Last bid's a 3 out of 5. Possession and selling. Tell me, what's different this time?
I ain't going back.
I don't know if I believe you, but you believe you. That's what matters, right?
Come here, papi.
Hey, Mr. Rodriguez. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I gotta take us to the game, papa. What's the matter? You don't like baseball no more?
It's okay, I guess.
What do you like, Michael? Football? Basketball? You like school?
Yo, don't forget your panties.
So what's up? Trans what? You see what time it is? Talk to me like a man. I didn't raise you to be like that.
You didn't raise me. You can't just come in here and try to be Poppy now.
Well, I am your Poppy. What if that's his life, man? That's him. That's his life. That's my life. That's my boy. You're a man, Michael. You're not a woman. This ends now.
No! My hair!
No, leave it alone. He's not hurting anybody.
You don't disrespect this house.
Don't do this.
I'm not pretty anymore. Why do you have to come back?
And here it is, my son wants to be like this.
Don't blame me for this.
What are you doing this whole time?
I was working. Where were you, huh?
The boy loves you. He needs you. We need you.
At that point, it was the mid-70s. Jimmy Carter was president. Democracy was respected. My kind of history was respected, meaning history from the bottom up rather than the history of great white men, but really looking at the people and what it was to be living in America at different points in time. If you were not born here, if you were a person of color. So it was, the Carter administration respected my kind of history, the kind of, then called American social history. So we got funding from NEH to do grassroots history, to work with community groups, to work with our students, to do interviews, to ask the questions about their lives, about their parents, about their grandparents, to collect photographs, to work with church groups, to work with various communities in Queens. And from that, we were very successful. We created the Community History Project. And that morphed into the archives because Joe Schenker, the president of LaGuardia, wanted an archive and asked me to run it.
Otra vez tuve este sueño. Estoy en México. Mi casa. Y me doy cuenta de que no puedo regresar. ¿Cuándo lo puedo volver a ver?
Ya necesita unos tenis nuevos.
Toma esto también. ¿Cómo es que no te he visto por aquí antes?
Casi puedo escucharte sonreír. Ya, dime cómo se llama la afortunada.
¿Sabes lo que le pasa a las personas como tú? Los matan.
¡Dale! Tú no tienes nada que ofrecernos.
He estado pensando en cruzarme al otro lado. Allá nos odia. Necesito sacarme adelante a mí. Ya pasó más de un año desde que te fuiste. Tienes que olvidarte de mí por un rato. Cuando sueñas todo pasa muy rápido. Pero el sueño americano ocurre en cámara lenta. Tarda años. Yo vine aquí para lograr algo. No dejes de confiar en mí.
When I was an undergraduate, LGBTQ+ representation in film was limited. Occasionally, you'd get an art house film like Tom Kalin's Swoon or Greg Araki's The Living End. Midnight screenings showed more underground fare, and LGBTQ film festivals only came along once a year. I didn't have a car, so I learned to navigate the Los Angeles public transportation system. I sought out anything that seemed queer or queer adjacent. I remember a late-night bus trip with 2 transfers for a midnight screening of Bruce LaBruce's No Skin Off My Ass, only to have the film break within the first few minutes and the screening called off. I loved these movies, and I loved living in LA because that was the only way I was able to see them, and I tried to see them all. I gradually realized I was looking for something from these films that they weren't delivering. I was looking for a more hopeful movie, a movie where the character's gayness wasn't tragic, and it wasn't hidden, it was an accepted part of who they were. I decided to write the movie that I wanted to see, and I wrote Trick.
You have a boyfriend? Would I be here if I had a boyfriend?
I've got one.
You want to come over?
I'm Mark.
I'm Gabriel. Do you live around here? Why are you here?
Hi, I'm Catherine Lambert. I'm an actress.
This is a bad idea. You two are roommates? No.
But we're very close. I even take care of his dog, Trixie.
You've got your place to yourself now, right? I need to be alone with Mark. Trab. I live with this guy, Rich. He's straight.
You need the apartment.
I need the apartment. You can't ask a one-night stand to come back tomorrow night. Flip? Yeah, flip. Where do you live?
This summer,
I miss Coco Peru. Hello. A whip and poof!
What the hell is a whip and poof?
Fine Line Features presents Christian Campbell, J.P. Pittock, and Tori Spelling
You want some? Yeah.
in a comedy that shows
I find the idea of two men getting on incredibly hot.
how the other half loves.
I don't want to sleep with women. I'm sorry, Glenn.
No matter which half you are.
There was a drag queen in the bathroom?
A little piece shy? Oh, don't worry. Miss Coco's here to help.
Gabe, I talked to my mother. She called you my boyfriend again.
We went to one prom back when I thought I was.
Thought he liked girls then.
Whoops.
Trick. A story about two guys trying to make it in the big city.
It's big. It's beautiful. And you're gonna love it.
In the 2 decades since Trick was released, there's been a modest explosion of LGBTQ plus content, but on-screen representation of our community remains an issue. It is a diverse community comprised of many intersectionalities and infinite experience. It is a community made up of many voices, and we need to hear them all. As a member of the faculty in the film program at LaGuardia Community College, I get to witness the creativity of our students firsthand. It's a privilege to support them and to watch as they write the scripts for the movies that they want to see. Thank you.
What?
So you two are kind of like sisters.
We could never be sisters.
Why not?
Because she's my best friend. Plus, I mean, she's so beautiful, you know? It'd be like some kind of freak accident.
I had the most amazing night with Mark. I kept wishing you were there just because there's no way I'd be able to tell you. You could show me. I'd show you.
Are you scared? No.
I wanted to take history to the people. And I thought that just creating a museum wasn't going to do it, that wouldn't really get into people's homes. I wanted to get into their homes. So I wanted to bring history right into their homes and give them history for as much as they wanted it. So I wanted it up on the refrigerator. I wanted it up on their walls. I wanted them to walk by and maybe spend two seconds or a minute, whatever they wanted. And I had a jogging partner, Hank Paczewski. We were jogging one day and I was telling him about my work and wanting to really bring history to the public. And he said to me, why don't we do a calendar? And that way, every month will be a new exhibit. And it'll be an exhibit that lasts for 30 days in your home. And we'll do it about topics and themes that they don't get from the traditional history. So we're not going to be a calendar of the great presidents or the great generals. You know, we're going to be a calendar about work. We're going to be a calendar about leisure. We're going to be a calendar about queens. And so we did the first calendar. I did it with Hank and the print shop at LaGuardia and my students and my colleagues. And we collected photographs about queens. We focused it on queens. I partnered with the Queens, I created the Astoria Historical Society, and we partnered with them. And we did it in 4 languages. We had it translated by local newspapers. It was great fun. It took us so long to do it. We published it in February. You know, that's how we got into calendars. And it was a great success. It was a great success.
In case you didn't get the message, but I can see you did, because you all are the message, we have someone here that's gonna sum it all up for you again. She's the queen of this here island. She's the saint of Christopher Street.
It's gonna be legendary.
It's Miss Marcia P. Johnson.
Hi, I'm former New York City Council member and Queens Pride Parade founder, Danny Drum. And it's a pleasure to be here to celebrate the kickoff of the Guardia and Wagner Archives calendar at this very special event. You know, I got involved in the LGBTQ rights movement almost 50 years ago. I was 17 years old at the time, and I went to the Gay Activist Alliance firehouse in Soho. And I got introduced to a whole group of people that I never knew existed in the world before. Growing up, I thought I was the only gay person in the world, but I was soon to find out that I wasn't alone. But that being said, part of the reason I felt so alone was because LGBTQ people were really never represented in the media. Certainly, we weren't even represented in films, or if there was some type of representation in films, it was mostly for tragic reasons or for negative reasons, or different types of negative references were made to LGBTQ people. So growing up, I had no role models or any idea really of what it meant to be like to be gay. Fortunately though, when I started to come out in 1973, I learned that there were a group of people led by Vito Russo, a former LGBT rights activist who did actually unfortunately die of AIDS, who wrote a book called The Celluloid Closet. And in that book, he outlined all the different references to being gay or to homosexuality throughout the history of film. And that was really eye-opening. It was also around 1973 that I first saw one of the first positive representations of LGBT people on film, and it was actually called The Naked Civil Servant. And it was the life story of Quentin Crisp. He lived in England and he grew up in the 40s during World War II. And he's told what his life was like then as a gay person, an out gay person, nevertheless, in those days, even before it was somewhat acceptable to be gay. But his positive twist on his life and life in general was something that really helped me a lot and made me want to know more about the portrayal of LGBTQ people in cinema and the film. So those were my memories, my earliest memories. Of course, other films later on came on. But this year's calendar is dedicated to that history and to talk about the history of LGBT people and how we were portrayed in film. And I can't think of a better theme than this theme.
I was with President Gail Mello, our former president of the Guardia and Wagner Archives. She took me with her when she was going around talking to the various council members. And I walked into Danny Drum's office with Gail, and I sat there, you know, while Gail and Danny talked about capital budgets and all kinds of funding stuff. And I noticed on the wall a picture of Dr. Spock in a marching. I was looking at Dr. Spock, and it was towards the end of the meeting, and Gail said, and here's Professor Lieberman, you know, he runs the archives. Do you have any questions? And I said, yeah, what's that picture doing on your wall of Dr. Spock? And he then told me, you know, about his involvement in protest, his involvement in recognition, his battles with the Board of Education, the parades for parents of gay and lesbians, the role of Dr. Spock in helping parents and helping children, and I think it was PFLAG was the parade that they were marching in. And I said to him, do you have any records of this? He said he has a whole apartment filled with, he saved everything. And that was the beginning of this tremendous relationship and friendship and commitment with Danny Drum.
There's always been, you know, bashings, and they knew that the community wasn't going to fight back, so it was easy for them.
Bludgeoned over the skull with a pipe or a bat.
They unlocked the apartment and everything, and then they found him dead.
He was killed in the neighborhood and dumped up in the Bronx, in the South Bronx.
And once again, we did nothing.
I really don't remember the time. I know it was probably past midnight, and I got up to the voice, a desperate voice.
Some guy comes running down 78th Street screaming they're killing somebody in the schoolyard.
And he was crossing himself and saying, Jesus, help me, Jesus, help me.
Bare-chested and covered in blood. And I said to him, Julio, it's Alan, do you know who did this to you? And he shook his head no from side to side.
Are you Ted Rivera? And I said, yes. Your brother is Julio Rivera? And I said, yes. He goes, he was killed. We think it was drug-related. You know how these things are.
None of the stated facts about Julio Rivera's murder made any sense whatsoever.
The word from the police was that this was just a trick gone bad or something. If this limited activities in the neighborhood, maybe it was a feeling that some of the police might have thought it was a positive thing.
People had just had it and were ready to fight back. We needed a direction to go. We needed somebody to help us.
People came from Queens and they said, this has happened.
and we're not getting any kind of response from the police, and it just feels like it's going to get covered up. We need you to be the heavy artillery.
And about 6:30, there were like 4 of us. And the feeling of like, you know, is that all there is? You know, God, please let somebody show up. 10 of 7, 5 of 7. Trains come in. E train, an F train, an R train, number 7 train. All of a sudden, this sea of gay men and lesbians come walking up the stairs from the Independent line and down the stairs from the Flushing line. And there's like hundreds and hundreds of people that never met Julio, that never heard the name Julio Rivera until I went and asked them to please come out to Jackson Heights.
Hola, ¿cómo están? Yo soy Richard Spuntoff, soy el director de la película Julio de Jackson Heights y esta es una pequeña introducción a la película, una introducción bilingüe, así que voy a estar alternando entre español e inglés. My name is Richard Spuntoff. I'm the director of the film Julio of Jackson Heights. And this is a very short introduction to the film. It's going to be bilingual, so I'll be going back and forth between Spanish and English. La película se trata del asesinato de Julio Rivera en 1990 y del activismo de la comunidad que presionó una investigación seria de la policía para encontraron los asesinos de Julio. Y también la película se trata de la fundación de la marcha. The film is about the 1990 gay bashing murder of Julio Rivera and about the activism of the community that pressured the police into running a serious investigation that led to catching Julio's murderers. The film is also about the foundation of the Queens Lesbian and Gay Pride Parade. Lo que quiero subrayar en esta introducción es que yo soy de Queens, de hecho soy de los barrios donde transcurrió todo esto. Soy de Elmhurst, Woodside, Jackson Heights y tengo una larga historia con Queens y con el movimiento LGBTQIA+. Y en este sentido, el proceso de investigar todo esto, de hacer esas entrevistas, para mí fue un proceso muy hermoso, porque estaba aprendiendo la historia de mi barrio y mi condado natal. So what I'd like to underline in this introduction, or highlight, is that I'm from Queens. I grew up in Queens. I grew up in the areas of Elmhurst, Jackson Heights, and Woodside, where a lot of the film takes place, and that I have a long history with Queens and a long history with the LGBTQIA+ movement. And so in this sense, this whole process of interviewing people, of researching, was a very special, a very beautiful and personal process for me, because I was learning about the history of where I grew up. Y una de las motivaciones centrales para mí, para hacer esta película, fue el deseo de rescatar y documentar esta historia importante. So one of the central motivations for me in making this film on a very personal level was to be able to rescue and document this very important history that I believed at the time we were starting to lose. Me gustaría agradecer al equipo de los archivos de la Guardia Wagner por incluir el trabajo mío en este y más importante, por siempre respaldar nuestros trabajos que buscan preservar la memoria colectiva de nuestro condado de Queens. So in closing, I would like to thank enormously the staff of the Guardia and Wagner Archives for including my work, but also more importantly for all of their work supporting the work that all of us do that is aimed at trying to document and preserve the collective history of Queens. Thank you.
May I help you? I'm looking for the grown-up underwear of a woman in charge of her sexuality and not afraid of change.
I'm Shireen.
What is that, Libyan, Armenian?
Iranian.
Iranian, wow.
Tell me, what is the scene like in Tehran?
I spend most of my time in Iran watching Disney videos with my grandmother while she entangles jewelry.
She has no goals or aspirations.
I think she has self-esteem issues.
Yeah, no kidding.
I can tie a cherry stem into a knot with my tongue.
Really?
This is John Francis. John, show her your chest tattoo. I'm like one bad romantic encounter away from moving to France and changing my identity.
What are you doing out here?
Social anxiety?
Just having trouble dealing with like Brooklyn parties and everyone talking about their Kickstarter campaigns. Did you see that guy with the waxed Dali mustache?
I hate so many things too.
They have no idea you're bisexual?
They know, I know they know.
Why is there only one bed?
It's European. Also in the movie Beaches, these two best friends shared a bed and it was very inexpensive. You're coming to a Persian New Year party this weekend.
Am I coming as your date?
God, no, I think I have a death wish.
You are ruining my birthday.
You're ruining my 20s.
You know, there are people in this world who go on first dates that are perfectly great and then they wait a while before they engage in sexual contact.
It's disgusting.
I know, I think it all happens outside of New York.
Professor Ali Bashirs is taking over as director of the LGBTQ program. And my encouraging words to Professor Bashirs: find a way to bring together the work in LGBTQ programs and your work as a biologist. That is the key, because that is what I did. And it was easier for me, although not so easy in history, but to find the integration, the cross-section in the Venn diagram of life, the overlap between biology and the LGBT programs, and that'll really be a more enriching profession and job for Professor Bashirs, who is a distinguished biologist.
Good evening, everyone. As a biologist, the passage of time brings to my mind the changing seasons and how animals and plants synchronize the important moments of their lives to the sky. For humans, the calendar represents our attempts to do the same, to articulate the moments and rituals that provide meaning for our lives throughout the year. The creation of a calendar is an expression of our values and beliefs about what it means to be human. I am very proud this year to have been involved in a very small way with the creation of this year's LaGuardia and Wagner Archives calendar, Grit and Glamour, LGBTQ film in New York City. It's the fourth and final calendar in our queer focus series. Putting LGBTQ lives at the heart of a calendar embraces diversity and respect for all. And New York City has long been an exemplar to the world. I hope that this calendar gives each of you a glimpse of the art, the passion, the sweat, and the love that was poured into its creation. Every detail was fretted over, reworked, and shaped with care, and we could not have had a better team. As we rotate this year around our local star, the sun, I hope that you use this calendar and that it gives you many moments to meditate on what is important and how beautiful our lives are when we embrace diversity. Thank you all for attending, and I hope you enjoy the show.
What's your name? Don't ignore me. What is your name?
Tina?
Damn right you are.
The purpose of this exercise is to relax your mind and to guide you to create your own peaceful, safe place.
I'm sorry, are you available?
Yeah,
Get in.
Los barriles y borregos. Los barriles y borregos. Los barriles y borregos.
Perfect. What do you even need me for?
Can I get a scratch off, please? Tell you what, if I do win, I'll split it with you 2 ways. Deal? The boys at school made fun of me when I didn't want to play football. When I'd get home, I'd run to my room and hide under the covers. Grandma would come in. She'd say that I made her very proud. Let's just say she always has my back. Jason, can I talk to you?
Sorry, busy.
Jason! Nice hologram. Looks legit.
Don't come back to my job again! It's over!
Tonight, we unite. From this day forward, we are one. Because I am Rosie. You are Rosie. We are all Rosie! Rosie! Rosie!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
Justice for Rosie!
Hi, my name is Carly, and I used to go to LaGuardia. I think that some of the films or stories, narratives that are really important to tell are narratives that center or uplift a commonly overlooked identity. I think that identities that are misrepresented or not represented as much, identities that are usually overlooked, are things that are very rewarding to explore, because for the viewer or for ourselves, we're able to illustrate a lot of the gaps that we had in our own imaginings of that experience. And in connecting those dots, a gap is filled, a void is filled, and that's something truly magical, because not only does it have a transformation on screen, but also off camera. And those mini transformations are really all media, whether it's a book, a movie, music, is about. It's about filling in one of those voids to where now you are privy to some new experience. Hola, me llamo Carly. Pienso que algunas de las películas o narrativas que son bien importantes de contar son las historias que se tratan de personajes o de identidades que muchas veces no son representadas igualmente, o no son identidades que cogen la atención muchas veces. Creo que estas historias son bien importantes de contar porque ayuda bueno, primero a la audiencia y también al personaje en la película, hallarse y a explorar o saber más en algo que antes no se sabía. Y en ese espacio que ahora ya se está llenando con esta nueva realidad o experiencia que estamos viendo en la pantalla, es algo que aprendemos y es un regalo para nosotros, la audiencia, de saber más de una vida que antes no sabíamos. Y nosotros somos todo lo mejor por saber más de esta identidad o vida, y todo lo mejor por haber cumplido esa transformación. Thank you. Gracias.
The bride is calm. The groom is cool. And the parents are the picture of happiness. There's only one problem. Everyone wants to kiss the bride, except the groom. What started as a little white lie
Don't you see? This way Wei can stay in the States and paint, and you can finally get your parents off your back.
grew into a performance
This was your
big idea.
Of amazing proportions.
As a married couple, you'll be able to take a big tax break.
The Samuel Goldwyn Company proudly presents...
Wait, what do you think you're doing?
The most outrageous social event of the season. The Wedding Banquet.
After 50 years at an institution, you do give it some thought. And LaGuardia became my family. And when young professors asked me, what's the secret to your longevity? My answer is to embrace the work, both with the students and your colleagues, as family. And the essence of that is trust and love. And if you go for that, you'll enjoy it. You really will. And I know that for me, I really took the institution, and as you know, in family, there are good times and bad times. So everybody looking at their family histories knows, wait a minute, this ain't, this isn't I Love Lucy. But I think that if you take it on with trust and love and commitment and embrace it, it'll be easier with the understanding that there's going to be a lot of white water, as you move through it. And that's what I did. That's what I did. I just said, okay, this is my family.
Heartbreak opens onto the sunrise, for even breaking is opening. And I am broken. I'm open. See the love shine in through my cracks. See the light shine out through me. My spirit takes journey, my spirit takes flight, and I am not running. I am choosing.
I know for homecoming that I want to go with Craig.
And who are you going to go with, Lee?
I'm not going.
What do you mean you're not going?
If she doesn't want to go, she doesn't have to go.
For some reason, Lee just doesn't like anything I pick out for her anymore.
You look beautiful, baby.
This isn't me.
There's this new women's club up there by the liquor store. You haven't heard anything about it, right?
I never even heard of it. What if, say, somebody liked you? What if the person is kind of like a friend, but they like you more than that?
I told you, I talked to Alike. Everything's fine.
Did you ask her?
No, because I don't have to.
You don't want to face the facts.
No, damn it, that's not true. Look, when you...
Your daughter is turning into a damn man right in front of your eyes, and you can't say it.
I am broken. I am broken open. Breaking is freeing. Broken is freedom. I am not broken. I'm free.
I got to keep doing my thing. I got to keep doing my thing.
Media has such an important influence on people. So I really want to thank Stephen Hitt. I want to thank Stephen Weinstein. I want to thank Richard Lieberman and Soraya Lamore. I want to thank Stephen Petrus for all the work that is being done by LaGuardia Community College to advance LGBT people. I gave funding to LaGuardia Community College to kick off events, pride events, to keep the history of the LGBTQ rights movement living and alive so that people could reference it in their archives. And they have done such a tremendous job with this. And I couldn't be prouder than to acknowledge the work that has been done with everybody involved at the archives. We started off with a small budget. The last budget, I was able to put $1.1 million into the budget. And now
we are expanding to citywide programs throughout all of the CUNY campuses in New York City. So congratulations to everyone involved with the calendar and happy 2022. Thank you, everyone.
I am not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send a blood, gonna drown a mind. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me. This is who I'm meant to be. This is me.